Alabama's syndicated news talk leader, Rightside Radio. Phil Williams here live in the Rightside studios. And yeah, we got the local, the state, the national, covering down on all of the issues, all of them. And like the dude just said, solid, conservative, and just plain right. Well, welcome to the middle of the week, the day that we love, the day that the camel tells us it's hump day. Play it.
Uh-oh. Guess what day it is? Guess what day it is? Mike. What day is it, Mike? Leslie, guess what today is?
It's hump day.
Woo-woo! Yes, it is. It is hump day. Congratulations. You're halfway to the weekend. That's good stuff. So, by the way, thank you for indulging me yesterday. I had to be with somebody dear to me at an appointment, and it's a good thing that we made the call, and we did, because the day ran long. So yesterday you got to hear a repeat, but this is me live. It's Wednesday. I can give you the date, proof of life if you need it. But we're glad you're here. And Boomer is on the board. Hey, buddy.
I'm live as well.
You are indeed. All you.
All me. I'm all here, guys.
All of you, every bit. All right, yeah, we're glad to be with you on this hump day. We got a great show laid on for you. 3 o'clock today, former State Senator Dick Brubaker is calling in. Dick represented part of the Montgomery Pike Road area, and interesting dynamics that we'll be talking about with him about redistricting. And I'll be honest with you, maybe there will be a Congressman Brubaker in the future. We'll find out. So former State Senator Dick Brubaker calling in at 3 o'clock. Then at 4 p.m., you know the deal. We don't just play the camel. We also go with the Grand Council at 4 o'clock. So at 4 o'clock, Jeff Poor, Dale Jackson, two of my brethren in talk radio, they come on and we ping each other with questions and just see what our various thoughts are on stuff. So that's the Grand Council at 4 o'clock. And then I got a whole triple dipper, so hit it, buddy.
The Triple Dipper. 3 stories you've got to know.
That's right, the Triple Dipper, 3 stories, 3 themes, if you will, that you got to know as we run today's show. So right out the gate, I'm talking about some mad maps. Got some mad maps. So if you haven't already heard, the special master that was assigned by the 11th Circuit Court of Appeals has now come back with some mad maps, y'all. They've redrawn all of our congressional districts, and they've even told us how likely it is that race will play a factor in who wins. So we have to be more racist to be able to elect our Congress, our congressional delegation. A crazy thing. We're talking about some mad maps. That's number 1, Triple Dipper. And number 2, faith. It's a thing. I love it when faith is in the public arena. Why? Because it should be. There's nothing that says that you have to hide your faith like a candle under a bushel. Who says you're supposed to be in the public arena but hide your faith? There's this misnomer out there that for some reason faith is not allowed to be public, and certainly not in the public arena or the public discourse or in public politics. And I say bunk. The reality is faith. It's a thing. And we're going to talk about that, number 2 on the Triple Dipper. And then number 3. So this is intriguing to me. So I don't think I've ever seen this happen, and I'd like to think that I've been somewhat in tune with politics for a while. But we're about to see a debate next month, not between presidential candidates, no, between 2 governors. So Ron DeSantis and Governor Gavin Newsom have agreed to a public debate with Sean Hannity as the moderator next month. Really? I got plenty of thoughts on that, but I'm calling this whole section side event or main event. I don't know. Maybe that's going to wind up being the 2 presidential candidates actually having their debate early. Side event or main event? There you go, number 3 on the Triple Dipper. All right, let me jump to my comments, and I will tell you, Southern Immediate Care, I love those folks, and I appreciate the fact that they are sponsors of not just the show in general, but also of the Rightside Way monologue every single day. Southern Immediate Care, a great chain of clinics all across North Alabama. They're in locations like Gadsden, Atala, Anniston, 5 locations around the Birmingham area. And listen, Southern Immediate Care is open 7 days a week, and I know the people that run it, and they are solid, solid folks. Southern Immediate Care, sponsors of the Rightside Way. So here's my thoughts. I'm thinking back, and I remember when I was a kid, I can remember going into stores with my dad, and he would always say to me, son, keep your hands in your pockets. I don't know if that was a thing that every dad said, But my dad said it to me all the time. Son, keep your hands in your pockets. I used to hate it when he said that. I mean, did he not trust me to not break things? Short answer is no. I mean, why should he? I was a knothead kid, and knothead kids break things. So yeah, if we went into any place softer than a hardware store, he would tell me all the time, son, keep your hands in your pockets. Because when kids start grabbing things in a store, parents are the ones who wind up having to pay for what gets broken. It's the old rule of the retail store. You break it, you buy it. So yes, my hands stayed in my pockets quite often. But there's a legal version of the rule, you break it, you buy it. In the practice of law, it's very common to find somebody being sued for injuries that were the proximate cause or of the negligence or recklessness of another person. I mean, there's a whole cottage industry out there of plaintiffs' lawyers who advertise that if you've been hurt, dial 1-800-INJURY and let them go to work for you. Sometimes those cases are necessary. And they're the only way, though, that a person can be made whole. But what happens when the injured person was actually just more susceptible to being hurt anyway? I mean, what happens when the injured person is someone who has a physical disability or a special condition, and because they do, their injuries are just made worse simply because they were already more prone to being hurt than another person who was reasonably or similarly situated, who didn't have the same physical conditions? I mean, can a person be sued for injuries that were just something that was made worse by a pre-existing condition? And the answer is absolutely. Yes, they can. The long-standing rule is called the eggshell plaintiff doctrine. It basically stands for the premise that if you were someone with a very thin skull, a skull that can crack as easily as an egg, as someone who actually causes an accident that cracks your skull, even if the average person would not have suffered the same injuries, the fact is the injury was still proximately caused by the actions of the person who caused the accident. Well, the courts have said that when it comes to injured persons, you have to take them as you found them. That's the thing. You have to take them as you found them. Defendants will try to point the finger at the fragile state of the injured person. They'll try to say no one could have foreseen such injuries. I mean, it was made worse by his condition. But the good plaintiff's lawyer is going to go to work to show that the injury was the result of the defendant's actions. If they can show that to the court's satisfaction, it doesn't matter if the injured person was toting around an eggshell skull. You take them as you find them. Basically, you don't get the benefit of saying, well, he was just more injury prone. That's not my problem. Nope. You take them like you find them, even if they have an eggshell for a noggin. It's the legal version of you break it, you buy it. So why am I telling you all this? I'm telling you because what we're watching right now on the U.S. southern border is a classic example of trying to blame somebody for something that's allegedly because of a pre-existing condition. I mean, the Biden administration right now is causing massive injury to our country, to our way of life, to our economy, all by literally breaking our already fragile southern border. In August alone, 232,972 people were detained after illegally crossing our southern border. That's nearly 250,000 in 1 month, and that does not include the gotaways. The Customs and Border Patrol has now revised their projections for 2023 with the expectation that we're going to exceed 2 million illegal immigrants in 1 year. Since Biden took office, well over 6 million, y'all, illegal immigrants have been documented. That's more than the entire population of the state of Alabama. In Eagle Pass, Texas, thousands across the border every single day, and they have overrun the small town of Eagle Pass, whose actual population is really only 29,000. The mayor of Eagle Pass said in an interview earlier this week, he said, quote, I believe 100% that Biden does bear some responsibility for this crisis. He said, I haven't heard from anybody in the administration. The president hadn't put out a statement. The vice president, I haven't heard from anybody. By the way, he's a Democrat, and he's upset. But the Biden administration, they swear it's not their fault. It's a long-standing problem, they say. The border had issues before we got here, they say. Well, I got news, Mr. President. It may be an eggshell doctrine plaintiff, but the injuries were made worse by you. You broke it. You buy it. But Biden's trying anyway. Last Thursday, in a speech to the Congressional Hispanic Caucus, he blamed Republicans for the growing number of illegals crossing the border. He said this, he said, MAGA Republicans spent 4 years gutting the immigration system under my predecessor. They continue to undermine our border security today. We need our colleagues to act. All right. Does he remember that he's actually the commander-in-chief right now? Does he remember that he spent 40 years as part of the D.C. establishment and did absolutely nothing? White House spin doctor and breaker of glass ceilings, Karine Jean-Pierre, she insisted last Thursday that President Biden is doing everything he can to combat the surge of migrants at the southern border, and she accused Republicans of not doing enough. She said, "We have taken steps without the help of Republicans in Congress to do everything we can to deal with this issue." That's what she told the reporters at the White House. Sure you did, Karine. Let's say for the sake of argument that this awkward attempt to deflect blame on previous administrations has any merit at all. Let's say that under Trump, the border security had not really improved. Let's say the Mexican government hadn't really been assisting the U.S. back then during the Trump administration to try and stem the tide of migrant caravans. Let's say for the sake of discussion that we were not seeing drug trafficking across the southern border causing 70,000 Americans to die from fentanyl poison in 1 year alone right now. Let's say the problems actually did pre-exist the Biden administration. That does not in any way give them a bye. Not at all. Remember that eggshell plaintiff doctrine? You take them as you found them. You break it, you buy it. It does not matter one whit whether or not the border was perfect before Biden took office or whether it was damaged before Biden took office. The fact is that Biden is now the one who's in charge, and he's in the position to either help it or hurt it, and all he's done is hurt it. The United States is the injured party. Our southern border is like our national version of an eggshell skull. The Biden administration is the defendant whose actions are the proximate cause of countless injuries to our society as a whole. And the fact that we may have already had some problems before does not in any way absolve Biden of liability for making our problems worse. Mr. President, by God, you break it, you buy it. And that's a wrap for the Rightside Way. Well, there you have it. Think about it. More than the population of our entire state has streamed across our borders just since Biden took office. But it's the MAGA Republicans. The problem was here before we got here. So freaking what? Do your job. You break it, you buy it. That's the short of it. Phil Williams, Rightside Radio. Let's get her done. We'll be right back. And we are back. Phil Williams, Rightside Radio, solid conservative and just plain right. Yeah, making it cool to be a conservative. Text lines are open, 833-687-4448. That's 833-68-RIGHT. You want to text it or call it, there it is, 833-68-RIGHT. That's the number. Several already in with regards to the Triple Dipper. Jeremy Munsville says, I said one of them was called Mad Maps. He said, so Mad Maps, Beyond Undertones? You get it? Beyond Thunderdome? Yep. Nice. Well played, sir. Brian from Huntsville. More than the population of Alabama? No, they are half the population of Alabama. What are you saying? If 6 million people crossed over, the population of Alabama is 5.1 million, 5.2. So I'm not sure what he's telling me. Okay, never mind. We'll see. John from Huntsville says, Boomer, I thought you were on vacation. That's not right now.
That's not now.
That's not now. We'll decide about whether that vacation is really going to be allowed to happen later.
We'll
And then he says, Phil, definitely nice monologue, one of your best. Thank you, sir. Morgan from Fort Myers, Florida, listening in. He says, Morgan, Fort Myers, I believe you were onto something with the DeSantis-Newsom debate. I would love to see Ron DeSantis as our president. He's been a wonderful governor. He was spot on after Hurricane Ian getting recovery efforts underway in my area. I'd vote for him without hesitation. All right, well, there's a true believer. Yeah, I think it's interesting. I'm curious to see how this goes, and I don't know that I've ever seen this before. You've got the governors of what we might call the two sunshine states. California, beautiful weather, always known in the past as being what Florida is now. The place where people wanted to be, the place where dreams happen, the beautiful weather, the sunny vistas, and it's still a beautiful state, physically a beautiful state, and it's in chaos when it comes to its public policy right now. And then you got Florida, where conservative policies have been on the rise now for a number of years, and they stood up hard in DeSantis' leadership under all the madness that took place during COVID, and they have come out strong. And so I just look at it and think, it is. DeSantis is still a contender. Now, he is way behind Trump, way behind Trump. Trump is still the man right now when it comes to the likelihood of receiving the nod to receive the nomination as the Republican candidate. But you just got to go ahead and recognize there's still a long way to go in the primary season, and the number two guy in the primary season right now is DeSantis. And if something were to happen to Trump, I'm not saying anything, but I'm just saying if something were to happen to Trump, I think the reality is that DeSantis would rise rapidly in the polls and become the likely candidate. So he's got to stay in the race for that very reason. And then on top of that, then you look at Biden. Biden is a weak candidate right now. His own party is second-guessing. What do we do with this? The guy who is in the background, the guy who's been measuring the drapes in the Oval Office, is Gavin Newsom. Everybody knows that Governor Hairdo out there
I like that one. Governor Hairdo.
Well, look he's got, by the way, I saw somebody the other day on social media said, is it just me, or does Gavin Newsom wake up every day and fix his hair so he looks like the Bond villain in every movie? Or like, in every superhero villain, like a Batman guy?
How long do you think it takes him to do his hair?
I don't know.
A little while.
I don't want to think about it.
A little while.
Yeah. Just
Sitting in front of his mirror.
Yeah. Primping. Governor primping. Anyway, the bottom line is he's the one seen in the background that could rescue the moment for liberals. And I think he wants to be. I think he's got aspirations for the presidential seat, but could he be the guy that has to jump in and save the day now? In that case, what do you got? Technically, you've got the number twos in both races having a debate next month. Why are we doing this? Well, you've got the governor of California constantly dinging the governor of Florida, and the governor of Florida dinging him right back, and they've been going, yada boom, bada bing, back and forth. And you know what? They're going to do a public debate. When have you ever seen this? When have you ever seen two governors go, I'll debate you on the public stage. Let's do it. Cage match. So it's going to be the political Thunderdome. Two men enter, one man leaves. And technically, if you get down to it, y'all, I look at it and go, is this a side event or is it a future main event? Do these two guys, are they going to wind up being head-to-head in a presidential match? I don't know. It's just little old Phil Williams thinking stuff up. But, that's what we do, by golly. And we are known for being just plain right. Phil Williams, Rightside Radio. Taking a break. We're coming right back. We are back. Phil Williams, Rightside Radio, solid conservative, just plain right. Yeah, covering down on some major ground across the northern half of the most beautiful state in the nation. That'd be this one, Alabama. And I'm talking about this show. Woo, goes way down south of Birmingham and up north of Huntsville and Tuscaloosa, back to Gadsden, parts of Georgia, Tennessee, Mississippi, all thrown in just for good measure. A couple of text messages real quick. David from Huntsville says, Trump and DeSantis are both politically astute and capable. Trump is an entertainer, not charismatic, and much of the country don't like him or his humor. I don't know if I agree with you on there, David. The Trump mafia is trying to shut down everyone else because of his pride and good things he did, but Navy Jag Ron DeSantis is the best to continue Trump's legacy in effectiveness and temperament. All right, so we know for a fact that David is a DeSantis fan. TL from Huntsville says, Governor hairdo, laughing so hard, that's got legs. Pastor Barnes says, I don't know why he says this, but he wants to tell me that EVs are dangerous. I wasn't covering EVs right now, but okay. All that and EVs are dangerous. So there you have it. Thank you, Pastor Barnes. But, I tell you what, though, one important thing that I need to go ahead and do, just a quick moment of breaking news. We won't take long. Before I get in the dipper, I just got to go ahead and make special note of the fact the little man hit a grand slam.
Oh,
again
yeah.
last night.
Another grand slam. I mean, I was obviously excited for him, but I'm like, oh no, is this going to be a thing?
What, you don't want it to be a thing?
Oh, I like it. But I'm like, don't get it in your head that you're going to hit a grand
Now,
slam.
let me ask you this:
time.
Did he go to the plate, the home plate, and like point to the outfield with his bat? Did he do that?
No, he didn't. He did not do the Babe Ruth. No. I try to instill it in him. Hey, just go up there and swing. Swing your hardest and hit it as hard as you can.
Yeah.
That's all you can do. Don't think about a home run.
So what was his mindset? Did he look at you and go, Dad, don't worry, I'm going to get a line drive like you said last time?
Yeah, this time he was all business. He just walked up there and just
Dink!
smacked it.
Yeah. With left field, right field, center?
Center field.
Center field?
Yeah, his first up and bat, he actually dinged one to left field and it hit the foul line. It would have been another. But
Wow.
But yeah, his third time up to bat, he hit a grand slam again. So it was pretty fun to watch.
Sweet.
Yeah.
So, okay, then I have to ask.
Mm-hmm.
All right, grand slam, 4 runs. What'd they win by?
Oh, they won by a good bit.
Oh, okay. So it wasn't like those were the deciding 4 runs.
No, those were not. They won. They won
Down by 3, hits a grand slam. They win by 1.
No. It was a easier game. I'll just put it that way.
Well, I've seen his team, and I'm pretty sure they have easier times most of the time.
They're pretty good.
Yeah. All right. Listen, good stuff.
Hey, thanks for asking.
Yeah, man.
That was good.
Love it. And that little bit of candy I brought in, tell him that's Uncle Phil sent that.
Oh man, it's like a whole treasure chest of candy.
Yes, it is. All right, Dipper number 1. Let's talk about this. So you guys, to catch you up in case you haven't already heard, although I know who I'm talking to, most of y'all have. So here's the deal. You may recall that we have a pretty dastardly situation going on right now with the congressional district lines. Every 10 years, they're redrawn by the legislature because of the census. You have to have a certain number of people. As people migrate, like Huntsville has been one of the huge migrations. Limestone County, one of the fastest growing in the state. Baldwin County in South Alabama. So what happens is as population shifts, you have to redraw the congressional district lines. And you do that based on population. And you also typically do that based upon, data available to you at the time. And oh, by the way, in 1965, they passed the Voting Rights Act, and we could not disenfranchise people because of the color of their skin, and rightfully so. I agree with that. Except now what we're being told all of a sudden is, hey, those maps, which are largely what you've been using since 1992, those maps that have withstood scrutiny multiple times, those same maps, that you are just basically refreshing a little bit. Those maps aren't good anymore because you weren't racial enough. And so everybody's like, what just happened? Why are we got to be more racial? I thought you wanted us to be less racial, like have a race neutral selection criteria to the best possible. And granted, because of the way the demographics of the state lay out, one of those districts has been largely a black majority district throughout. I mean, Congresswoman Terry Sewell is one of the only Democrats in the state of Alabama's entire elected, contingent of any type. And and yet we're told, no. Now the new rule is, and it's new because no one knew this before. Now the new rule is, based upon the population of the state overall, you need to find a way to make 2 majority black or at least opportunity zones for black voters. So wait, let me get this straight. So now we have to be more racial. I mean, what happens if they're widely dispersed? I mean, what happens if there's not a central concentration that we can draw from to draw a district? How do we do this? I mean, and where does it stop? Is San Francisco going to have a largely Asian district drawn because of Asian demographics? Is Texas going to have largely Hispanic districts drawn because they've got Hispanic, contingents? Do we have to keep dividing ourselves up to please the courts? I thought we were supposed to undivide ourselves. Well, no, and apparently not. So the bottom line is this. We went to court, and the Supreme Court sided with the 11th Circuit. The 11th Circuit told us you got to redraw your maps. And we're like, what the heck? Redraw our maps? We sent it to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court came back, but they left some room for wiggle room. They left some, if you had done it this way, consideration to, but end result is, in a 5-4 split, we wound up having to redraw the lines. So we redrew the lines, and once again, as y'all mostly remember, I'm sure, as we redrew the lines, we submitted maps that drew up one of the districts, Congressional District 2, to down in South Alabama, to I want to say the one they submitted was almost 39% black population. And we were ripped by the 11th Circuit. They said, that is not good enough. You didn't listen to what we said. We said we thought we did listen to what you said. They said, no, you didn't. You're trying to get by, and bam. They assigned a guy with the title of Special Master. There's a title for you. A Special Master to come in and draw the lines for us. So the constitutionally mandated duty of the legislature has now been removed from the people's elected officials and given to a court-appointed special master. And we have very little time left to work with. And the special master, we have to have these results out. The new maps have to be in place by next week. Secretary of State Wes Allen was on the show last week, and he said, we've got to get this data out so that ballots can be printed, because right now people don't know where they're voting. People who are in Congress right now don't know what district they're running in. And so, bam, yesterday we got the maps. Yesterday we got the maps, that'd be plural, and I'm calling them some mad maps, man, because they're just making a lot of people mad. Mad maps because they're a little bit crazy. Mad maps because it gets a little post-apocalyptic in what we got to do now. So here's the other thing they did. They redrew the maps, and it doesn't matter where you live, down on the southern part of the state, what used to be Congressional District 1 and Congressional District 2, with Jerry Carl from Mobile representing CD1, and Barry Moore, who's been on the show multiple times, who's a member of the Freedom Caucus, very conservative. They drew them together. It's a complete lack of respect for the incumbency. You typically try to work also not just on demographics, but recognizing that if you can, you don't just draw somebody out of their own district. It's just freaking rude. You try to consider they're there now, and we're not going, if we can help it, we're not going to just draw them out of their own district. Oh, what did they do? They drew 2 incumbents into the same district. All 3 versions. By the way, I did not see this coming. I did not know the special master was going to submit what I call a buffet of maps. I thought he was going to draw a map and say, here it is, court, and the court was going to go, thank you. No, he drew 3 versions. Each one's a little different. Not much, just a little bit here. Split a county over there. Hey, take a little more Mobile off over there. So now we're in this unique position where we still don't know, because he didn't submit 1, he submitted 3. And he submitted 3, and the court still has to decide, and they'll probably decide by the end of this week, but that means the court's not done. They got to do their piece. Y'all, I'm just telling you, nobody should have to go through this. And the idea that somehow or another we have to be more racial is really aggravating some people, because for years, Alabama has been distancing itself from its past. For years, no state, in my opinion, has done more to try and get away from a racial past to move into a race-neutral future. I mean, we were, yes, the seat of the Confederacy, but yes, we were the seat of the modern civil rights era. Yes, we were the state that had to be considered in the civil rights movement in terms of the Voting Rights Act and others. I get it. We were also the state that was released from that in 2014. And yet here we are, once again, being told by the courts, yeah, you didn't do a good enough job. Yeah, you got to do it better. Here, you know what? Screw that 10th Amendment. Yeah, we don't care about that 10th Amendment. Who cares about state sovereignty? We're going to draw the maps for you and you're going to like it. And oh, by the way, then they did one more thing. In this sort of race-neutral, supposedly race-neutral fairness and equity drawing of the maps, they also submitted what they call their, what do they call it? Hang on a second. I'm going to find the actual term they use. Performance evaluations. They ran performance evaluations. And they basically said, yeah, we drew these and we made sure in our performance evaluations that we can tell you that based upon what we believe is that the black preferred candidate will win in these two new districts they've drawn. Oh, wait a minute. So it wasn't about whether or not there was a equitable redrawing. It was about making sure that you set somebody up for success. It was about making sure you gerrymandered the vote such that there is now a new criteria, and oh, by the way, it's designed to make sure that one base of the population wins. That's what happened. We didn't get a drawing of the lines to make sure that people of color can have an equal voice. No, we made sure that people of color in this case are going to win because the court says so. And I look at that and think, y'all, that's what the Voting Rights Act was supposed to get away from, was establishing voting by means of making sure that one group was disenfranchised and another group was sure to win. I just find this, I mean, listen, I also think it's insulting. The very idea that, what's going to wind up happening is all black people will vote the same. That's what they do. They only vote one way. Black people only vote one way. That's not the truth. And that's insulting. And do we know that black voters tend to vote Democrat? Yes, they do. That's been the majority, but the trend is not that. The trend is not that. And so here we are looking at a situation where the court has now told us, we not only want you to draw these districts differently, we're going to draw them for you. And oh, by the way, we're going to make sure that what we believe is one racial win is going to be the one racial win. All right, I got to take a break right there. There's a good rant. I got to take a break. We'll come right back. I'll talk about this a little bit more, take some calls and check some text messages. And then top of the hour, somebody who knows it like the back of his hand is my friend and colleague, former state senator Dick Brubaker, who may wind up running for one of these congressional seats. We'll see. Phil Williams, Rightside Radio. We'll be right back. And we are back. Phil Williams, Rightside Radio. Solid, conservative, just plain right. Yeah, making common sense a superpower. Hey, so let me just tell you this case we got right now with the maps being redrawn for Alabama, and now we have the special master's maps. The special master has submitted 3 maps from which to choose. I'll tell you right now too, where Boomer and I live over here in Etowah County, Northeast Alabama, changes no matter what map we look at. So for many moons, Congressman Robert Adderholt has been the congressman for this area, and has a great working relationship with everybody. He has his office set up here. We're the most populous county in his entire district, and then lo and behold, we're not going to be in his district anymore. It's going to wind up being we're moving over to Congressman Rogers' district, and it's just frustrating to watch this happen only because someone decided to interpret a court case differently than it's ever been interpreted before, and we're just stuck with it. And I'll tell you too, it doesn't just impact us. All right, where's that article I've got? Hang on one second, I'll find it. Here it is. Story off the AP came out just a couple of weeks ago. Waiting for these special master maps, the AP reports that the legal fights over all of this could change the actual control of Congress. Keep in mind what a slim majority we have. And they say that what's happening in Alabama is just maybe the bellwether for these legal fights. Alabama may wind up being the precedent being set. We've got cases right now ongoing in Georgia and Ohio, and we've got other legal challenges starting up in Arkansas, Kentucky, Louisiana, New Mexico, South Carolina, Tennessee, Texas, and Utah. And new districts may also be likely in New York and North Carolina. All of this because of situations similar to what we're seeing in Alabama. If you can't win, then go ahead and just get the rules changed. That's what we're looking at. And I'm just telling you, this is a mess. This is a mess. Let me go to the phones real quick before I run out of time. I know we held on during the break. Brian from Huntsville. Hey, buddy, how you doing?
Well, I was doing a lot better until this Supreme Court ruling over something that I thought it was every person that is a citizen has a vote.
Yeah.
And my parents never sat on their tail, neither did my wife, and we didn't either. We moved to school districts and districts where we could perhaps make a difference. We didn't hold the light bulb up to change it and let the world revolve around us.
Yeah. Great point. It's amazing to watch, isn't it?
Yeah, and depressing. You have a good one, sir.
You too, buddy. All right, see you. I got a few text messages, but I see I got another on the. Is that Jeff from Indiana already? Jeff Rowe from Indiana. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing groovy, baby.
You still getting over your hippie fest you went to?
Oh, it was a good time, man. It was a good time.
That's awesome.
I never smelled any pot the whole time I was there, which was really floored me.
Well, I saw the pictures you sent, and it was tie-dye and Volkswagen buses everywhere you look, right?
Oh, yeah. Good stuff.
Well, what's on your mind today, bud?
Hey, if they're going to gerrymander all this stuff on race and everything, why don't some white people that live in blue cities in black districts sue to have the lines redrawn because they are discriminated against based upon their race?
Well, I just want to know.
Same principle.
I just want to know when it's going to be that if you can identify as a different gender, you can just go ahead and identify as a different color and change the whole layout of the demographics.
Well, that's what I told you a while back. Have the legislature just declare everybody's a minority in Alabama, and case closed. It's fixed.
But I don't know where it ends, though, too, Jeff. I think you and I talked about this once before. I don't know where it ends. I mean, I don't know. Like I said earlier, are we going to wind up having to have racial preferential treatment for voting districts for every demographic that exists? And when does that stop?
It may take a constitutional amendment to say that America will not do anything based upon race or color or anything or sex or anything else. I mean, it's used to be everything was equality, and now you don't hear the government talk about anything but equity.
Yep.
So
big
until
difference.
we get back to equality, it's going to be a messed up mess.
Yep,
And,
I agree, man.
The rocket is gone. They scrapped it. They literally
Oh, you
tore
just
it to pieces and put. It's everything's gone right now.
oh, you just changed subject
There's a-
on me. I didn't know where you were there for a second.
I'm sorry, but I knew it was getting close on time, but I wanted to let you know that.
All right, and we are. The music's playing. Jeff, be safe on the road, buddy. Appreciate you.
Thank you, Bill.
You too, man. All right, listen, we're going to come right back, have a conversation with former state senator Dick Brubaker, who may wind up being one of the guys who runs for one of these seats, because the new Congressional District 2, no matter how you look at it, one of those maps, it's an open seat. There's nobody in it right now. And so we'll see what happens. Phil Williams, Rightside Radio. We'll be right back.
You're listening live to Rightside Radio with Phil Williams. It's hard to go wrong when you're on the right side. Rightside Radio. Solid, conservative, and just plain right.
Alabama's syndicated news talk leader, Rightside Radio. Phil Williams here live in the Rightside studios. Man, we got the local, the state, the national, covering down on all the issues. And like the dude just said, solid, conservative, and just plain right. Well, we've been in number one of the Triple Dipper for a little bit here, calling it Mad Maps. Because, man, we got some mad maps going on. We don't just have one. Now we've got the special master drawing up three versions of how Alabama's congressional districts might look, and it has implications that run nationwide. It has implications that run towards the possibility of the control of Congress. It's just, to me, I just find it odd that we've been told since the 60s, stop gerrymandering on race, and then they came back and gerrymandered on race. Anyway, somebody who lives in one of those districts that's now been completely redrawn is my friend and former colleague, former state senator Dick Brubaker. Dick served in the House for that area quite a bit. He was a education advisor to Governor Fob James, and he's also served in the Alabama State Senate, and he's on the line right now. Dick Brubaker, how you doing, man?
Hey, good afternoon. Thanks for letting me be on your show.
Yeah, man, thanks for making time. And so listen, this will be an odd one. You guys have known your district lines for a bit. I mean, they draw a little bit different each time, but not much. Total redo right now, and you're looking at having an open seat in your area. What are your thoughts on the way all this broke out?
Well, I think what you just said and what Congressman Adderholt said earlier is exactly right. The Supreme Court, the courts are talking out of both sides of their mouth. On the one hand, they say you can't use race as the determining factor when you draw these districts. And now, apparently, they're saying you must use race. And I mean, let's face it, what's going on here is not just in Alabama. There are several lawsuits, very similar lawsuits in other states. And if they're going to use this Alabama decision as the precedent, as the blueprint for how the courts are going to act, the Democrats are going to use redistricting to take the House back.
Well, I agree, and I think that's exactly where we're headed here. On the one hand, I find it insulting that they would insinuate that black voters only vote in a block because it leaves out the idea that they might have other notions about their vote. But at the same time, we all know that currently the majority of the black vote typically votes Democrat. But I tell you what, Dick, in the middle of this, when the special master Richard Allen, you and I both know Richard Allen.
Yeah.
Richard Allen submitted three maps, which, by the way, I didn't know he was going to submit three. I thought he was going to draw one, and he came back with three. All three of them, though, he ran what he called performance evaluations on them, and he told the court, and guess what? The black preferred candidate wins in the majority of, which meant that he literally ran it not just on them having an opportunity, he ran it to make sure they win. That's galling to me.
They're not even pretending that they didn't. They drew these districts to elect Democrats, and they're being very. I will give Richard credit for being upfront and honest about what he was doing. They weren't trying to draw fair districts or communities of interest or whatever you want to call it. What they were trying to do is draw a district that a Republican couldn't win.
Well, I do think that the district you're in that a Republican can win.
I agree with you. And, there's a very good possibility that I'm going to try to be that Republican.
Well, hang on. That was my next question. So, I mean, I know you've been talking and making the rounds, and I asked you to be on the show without knowing you were making the rounds, but I'm hearing you said on another show that you're going to run. Is that so?
Well, then I'm very seriously considering. There's some information I don't have yet that I need to get. I'm having a very good numbers guy look deep into it to make sure it's as winnable as I think it is. But, what they're doing is they're taking a district that's always been oriented toward the wiregrass, that agricultural and military-based dependent area of the state, and an area of the state that needs strong representation for Alabama to, Fort Rucker and all of that. I mean, it's important. And now what they've done is no matter who ends up representing it, it's going to be a Montgomery. It's going to be a Montgomery-leaning district. I mean, what happens in the second congressional district is going to be decided by the voters in Montgomery County, and rural Alabama is already underrepresented.
Yeah.
And so now they're going to be even more underrepresented, no matter who wins.
Well, I agree. I think that I think it's definitely pulling away from the idea of a rural area having some sway over their own district. But what's interesting though is geographically, much of what will be your new congressional district 2 is rural and small town. But you're right, the population bulk of the vote is going to come out of Montgomery.
Well, Elmore and Collier counties are both out, and Enterprise is out, which was the sort of where Barry Moore, that was his base when he represented that district. Now that's not even part of the district. And so Montgomery is the only large urban center in the whole district. And it cuts straight across the state from east to west. And I think a Republican can win it, provided I hope Republicans and conservatives in general will listen up. We have got to not congratulate ourselves when we voted 48%.
Yeah.
I mean, if we're going to have any say in the destiny of what happens, we're going to have to start turning out at 60 and 70%, because the courts are trying to guarantee that one party has a distinct advantage over the other, and they've said that's what they're doing, and that's what they've done.
Yeah, that's exactly what they've done. And even more so, you can tell by the fact that they took two incumbent. And granted, I recognize that the population numbers, not demographics, but population numbers are part of what you have to draw your districts based on typically. But it's also kind of been the common courtesy. You don't just draw somebody out of their district. You don't just willy-nilly. I saw that happen one time in the multiple times that you and I had to redraw state lines when I think,
right.
Oh gosh, what was his name? Keogh? I just forgot his name. The guy that did get drawn out of his
Mark,
district. Yeah, it was Mark. Mark.
Yeah, Mark. Yeah.
That's it. But for the most part, that's not a thing.
But that's one guy out of 35. We managed to keep 34 out of 35 in their district.
Well, truly, it was 104 if you get down to it, because we didn't.
Well,
nobody in the
right.
House.
The
140.
House, yeah.
But all that to say, to see that they've drawn two incumbent Republicans into the same district, so now they have to go head to head against each other, to me is another just galling example of the fact that this was not done for any other reason except to sort of fix the race.
Well, you're right. I mean, this was done to elect Democrats. I mean, that was the purpose. But I will say this: residency is not a requirement for House of Representatives races.
That would be true, so I could run for it.
That's one of the things I've learned. I didn't know that. So Barry Moore, who has been representing District 2, now, of course, they took out his main area of strength with that area around Enterprise.
Yeah.
But if he wants to run again in District 2, I mean, there's no legal impediment except for the fact that he'll be running in a completely different district.
Well, he would, yeah. I don't know that he would.
I don't know how practical it would be. But the point is, there was, and I'm not saying politics has always played a part in redistricting, no matter who does it. But when you've got the federal government coming in and saying, we're going to draw districts to elect more Democrats, that's new.
Yeah, that's new, and it's
it's
also pretty galling when they say, "Oh, by the way, race has to be more of a factor, and we're going to make sure it is." When they've been telling us for years, stop making it a factor, and we have grown away from that over time.
See, that's the part of this I don't get. I mean, when all of the talk about that you heard that the original court decision that rejected the district's legislative group was probably not going to stand. Because of what you just said, the courts have always been asserting for the last decade or so that we need to get away from using race as the main factor. And then you've got a special master coming in and saying race is the main factor after all. And so I don't instead of operating under law, under predictable legal principles, now we're just doing it so one party will be favored over the other.
Yep.
And that's not good. But Republicans don't have to sit down for it. I mean, no matter whether it's me or somebody else, whoever the nominee is, y'all go vote for it.
Well, and it's what's going to have to happen. But so let me ask you this though, Dick. Before we run out of time here, about a minute and a half left. Speculation abounds as to who would be the potential Democrat nominee for that particular race. And right now, I would say the lead in terms of discussion points is current liberal mayor of Montgomery, Stephen Reed. Your thoughts on that?
I think it would be hard for someone who's not based in Montgomery to win the race, no matter what party they're in. So I think you're absolutely right. I think Stephen Reed would be the front runner, and I would be happy to run against him. We both have records. Let's compare them.
Well, I think I certainly know where yours stands, and the thing is, I think I know where his stands, and his is about as liberal as the day is long, and so I would put your efforts for school choice up against his efforts for no school choice any given day.
Well, and if we, in a fair race, I think a Republican can win it, and if the votes are counted, and we lose, fine. But I think that the District 2 at least is winnable for a Republican. And looks like our old buddy Bobby Singleton may run against Terry Sewell.
I saw that.
That also will be interesting.
That will. Terry Sewell may suddenly have some true work ahead of her in a campaign. Well, listen, man, I know where you stand. I know the issues you stand on, and I also know that you've kind of reached a time in your life. You recently retired from your longtime career and had an opportunity to serve the state in a number of ways. There might not be a better time, and open seats don't come along very often. So hope you'll keep us in touch on what you decide.
Oh, you can count on that. Thank you, Phil.
All right. Thank you, Dick Brubaker. We appreciate you. Former State Senator Dick Brubaker, and a champion for things on the right, and considering a run now for the soon-to-be open seat for the brand spanking new version of Congressional District 2. We'll see how that goes. All right, folks, we're going to take a break. We'll come right back, take some of your text messages, and wrap this thing up, and then we'll move to the next one. I'm calling it Faith. It's a Thing. Phil Williams, Rightside Radio. Y'all stay tuned. We'll be right back. And we are back. Phil Williams, Right Side Radio. Solid conservative and just plain right. All right, finishing up this section on Mad Maps. Just so you know, Attorney General Steve Marshall issued a statement yesterday afternoon. I'll read you a piece of it. This is your Alabama Attorney General Steve Marshall with regards to the recent maps and the things that have now become what we have to live within. He said, there should be nothing more offensive to the people of our great state than to be sidelined in 2023 by a view of Alabama that is stuck in 1963. This racial agenda is pressed by left-wing activists, not just in Alabama, but in any Republican state where it might have advantage for Democrats. If this brazen and divisive commandeering is permitted without even a whisper of concern from other quarters, America's congressional elections as we know them will never be the same. We will be grouped together by race alone, with counties and cities split down the middle the same way that we were so wrongfully segregated once before. He says, my office will continue to fight to defend the 2023 map, which was enacted by our people's representatives and which complies with the Voting Rights Act and the Constitution's promise that governments should be colorblind. We will comply with the district court's preliminary injunction order while building our case for the 2023 map, which has yet to receive a full hearing. So just so you know, the bottom line for this is we ain't done. The maps are drawn. The Supreme Court of the United States denied a request for an injunction. In other words, immediately, knowing full well that the maps were coming, the Attorney General filed a request for injunction, which just basically means put it all on hold. Put it on hold for right now, because we are trying to take this matter back up to appeal to the Supreme Court. So in the interim, we don't want to have to be held to maps that we believe we have a chance of overturning on a further appeal with the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court said no, they're not going to grant the injunction, which means we're going to have to run these elections on these maps now, with the understanding that there's going to be potentially another appeal that's going to take this up, and who knows what could happen. They may wind up rejecting the maps that we then have to run on, and then we go back. And then you have to redraw the lines and do it again. And it's nuts. We shouldn't have to be put through all this. Let me take some of your text messages. I'll do that. Michael from Beverly Hills, Florida, says, after phony special master, I call for state electoral college, simplest form, majority candidate for all statewide elections. That's interesting. Appreciate you. And by the way, it signed off as Nani from Beverly Hills. We had it down as Michael from Beverly Hills, so we need to change that. Let us know in the text. But it says also hoping to return to Huntsville. Well, come on home. Casey Junebug from Hartselle says, I never thought that I would quote Gerald Ford, but this is the truth. Quote, a government big enough to give you everything you want is a government big enough to take everything you have. Gerald Ford. I thought that was Ronald Reagan, but maybe it was Gerald Ford. Jeff from Indiana, just making sure I know that as far as the rocket goes, they could have cut it up into pieces so that people could have bought parts of it for art projects and museum pieces and made tons of money, but instead they destroyed it and took the scrap to the yard. I was not aware they took the scrap to the yard. I want to see somebody report on that. Nita from South Huntsville says, enough of these shenanigans to carve the Alabama map up in squares, exactly like a checkerboard. The districts with the most Auburn fans gets the extra checker squares that don't round out neatly. John from Huntsville, Phil, heads up. There's 3 pick'em games on tomorrow, so you might want to fill those out. Oh, that's right. There's Thursday night games. You got your pick'ems in? Of course
I've already got mine in.
Of course you have, Mr. Number One guy.
I'm not number one.
Number one guy.
That's McQueen.
Well, you picked McQueen, so that makes you the number one guy. Marshall from Dubai says, Dubai, by the way, still trips me out. We got people from Florida and Dubai texting in. Marshall from Dubai says about my monologue earlier, Phil, your dad, you spoke earlier about your dad saying, keep your hands in your pockets. My dad would tell us, when we go into this establishment, try to act like humans. Gary from Decatur, talking about presidential elections, says if hairstyles were going to be a criteria for the 24 election, maybe John Edwards in the $700 haircut would have another chance on the big stage. It appears Democrats are more about hair than character. I'd forgotten about that. John Edwards. Oh, my gosh, what a piece of work. Brian from Huntsville says, he's talking about the movie. Congrats to Boomer. And he says Kevin Costner to Joaquin Phoenix, Swing Away. Did you ever see that movie? What was the name of that movie? Not Sixth Sense. It was, I can't think of it. Aliens and all of it. And the thing that he was told was swing away.
I don't know.
Oh, crap. We're going to think of it in a minute when we get off the air, I guarantee you. Steve from Tennessee says Governor Newsom is Lon Chaney. He's a bloodsucker with perfect hair. Steve from Tennessee. There's an image for you. All right. Am I hearing music? Is it playing? You going to turn it up? Phil Williams, Right Side Radio. We will be right back.
I'm ready for it.
Hey, Boomer, are we back? Is the music playing? Oh, we are back. Phil Williams, Rightside Radio, solid conservative and just plain right. Covering down some major ground across the northern half of the most conservative state in the nation. I said the conservative state. That'd be Alabama. I'm talking about this show. Goes like way down south of Birmingham and up north of Huntsville and Tuscaloosa, back to Gadsden, parts of Georgia, Tennessee, Mississippi, all thrown in just for good measure. All right, we're gonna. Oh, by the way, Boom. So for both of our benefits, the audience, is the music still playing? What is happening right now? I don't even know.
It was still playing. I pushed the fader right back up again.
Oh, we're just having too much fun in the studio right now.
I was reading Teresa from Town Creek, and it distracted me.
That's okay. I was reading that too, which is hilarious.
That's why it distracted me.
Go ahead and read it.
It was Teresa from Town Creek, Alabama. She goes, "What's the dress code for tonight for the debate? Hoodies and shorts?" And it just made me laugh, and I wasn't paying attention.
That's so good. That is so spot on. By the way, we had several people square us away. The movie we were trying to think of was Signs. Did you see that? Mel Gibson.
Signs. Yes.
Mel Gibson,
Yeah,
Joaquin
yeah.
Phoenix. There was a few others in there whose faces I know, but that was. By the way, I don't know about M. Night Shyamalan. That guy's a weird load. Something about his movies can always creep you out. Of course, they're designed to. But I'm saying, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway.
I like Mel Gibson, though. I watch most of his movies.
Anything Mel Gibson,
Yeah.
I tend to like. All right, we're going to switch gears here, and I got a bunch of text messages that all popped in. We'll catch up on them in a little bit, but I want to switch gears. And Dipper number 2, I'm calling it faith. It's a thing. Why am I saying that? Because it's a thing, man. I mean, the idea that liberals are going to discount the notion of faith in the public arena on a regular basis is wrong. Let me just go ahead and speak to those of you who are what I would call people of faith. And granted, I recognize, and I'm a Christian, I believe that Jesus is my Lord. My salvation comes through Jesus Christ. And I have no problem saying Jesus is Lord on this show. I don't. I recognize that there are people of the Jewish faith, or for that matter, Hindus or Muslims or anything else that might be listening to the show. So if you are a person of faith, let me just go ahead and say, you're not dissuaded from having your faith be something that's public and it's in the public arena. Me personally, I believe in God. Me personally, I believe in the evangelical Christian faith as being the tenets that I stand by. My salvation, like I said, comes through Jesus Christ. I believe He's the way, the truth, and the life, period. The Bible's the unerring word of God, period. I believe that with all my heart. What's interesting to me is that somehow or another, if that belief is so core to who I am, that when I'm out in the public arena, or when I'm working on matters of public policy, or when I was a publicly elected official, that for some reason I was supposed to leave that behind. Well, I'm calling bunk on that. Absolute bunk. There is nothing about that makes sense. Because if it is truly a part of the fabric of who I am, or who you are as a person, then it cannot be left behind. At that point, you are doing exactly what Scripture says. You're hiding your light under a bushel. That is not where we're supposed to be. Now, let me just affirm that a little bit. Like, for instance, the thing that got me going on this, by the way, was an article. So Jalen Milroe, quarterback for Alabama. Boomer's nodding his head. I'm talking about his guy. Jalen Milroe had what, Yellowhammer News is calling a pretty gritty win. I'll be honest, I picked Ole Miss. But nonetheless, that's why I'm not as high in the rankings of the pick'em as Boomer is. But Jalen Milroe, he credits his win to his faith. And he got out there on it. He didn't equivocate. He said, I get my strength through my Lord and Savior. I surrender my throne to Him. I know I can lean on Him no matter the circumstances. I put my trust in Him no matter what. I can always lean on Him, so I'm good. That's a guy who has a very public position in life right now. I mean, he's the starting quarterback for the University of Alabama under Coach Nick Saban. That's about as high platform as you can get and be in college football. And yes, the dude is out there saying, and oh, by the way, my faith, it's a thing. Well, I love it too when I see elected officials who are not afraid to say, yeah, my faith, it's a thing. Don't try and tell me it can't be. Another article, Yellowhammer had two of these. So Yellowhammer had another piece. So Senator Tommy Tuberville had a meeting with pastors. In fact, I saw the picture. I got to call a buddy of mine who I think was one of the people in the picture, but I couldn't tell from the angle I was looking at. But it was still neat to see him because they were, anyway, Tuberville says he was pleased to meet with a group of pastors that came to Washington to discuss the future of the country, and in particular, their focus on youth. And he talked about that, and he talked about how great it was to meet with them, about the idea that moral values are things that have to be taught, especially in schools. But then he said this, Tuberville did. He said, it was a very good talk from people that are very interested in the future of this country. And if we're going to correct things, it can't happen on the political stage. It's got to happen in the community stage where churches get involved, families get involved, schools get involved. It was so great to have him up here. Faith, y'all, it's a thing. It absolutely is. Don't let anybody tell you different. Well, you can't come to my school board meeting and talk about things in your moral majority. Yes, you can. You absolutely can. Hey, Boomer, I'm going to use clip 1 here in a minute if you get that ready. You absolutely can. You can go to the podium at any public meeting and you can say, I believe this way. I believe this way because my God is who I trust and my God tells me to believe that way. And I am here to tell you today that yada, yada, yada. Speak to the issues. And don't be afraid, by the way, to say, well, I mean, listen, don't be apologetic is what I'm trying to say. Don't get up there and go, I'm a Christian, so I know some of y'all aren't, and I don't want to offend you, but here's what no. Get up there and say, I'm a Christian and I vote, and I'm a Christian. My kids are in the school. I'm a Christian, and oh, by the way, I believe that those books don't need to be in this library. And you can be matter of fact, and you can be clear, and you can have all your facts and your statistics and everything else, but you're also allowed to have your faith. And that is too often missing. I heard this soundbite. I published it on my Twitter, and it was so good. This lady came to a North Carolina school board meeting, and wow, did she let them have it. And in the middle of it all, she pointed out the vast majority of your constituency identify as Christians. Boomer, you got that clip? Let's go ahead and play it.
It's one goal for the educational system. It should be to prepare children to enter careers to be productive members of society. It is not a counseling session. It is not a self-help area. It is not somewhere to find yourself, and we should not be led by the children, for goodness sake. The children are called dependents for a reason. They depend on us who have fully developed brains. You cannot feel your way through life. The issues that we are talking about, we are bringing you statistics. We are talking about scholastics. We are talking about funding. We are talking about busing. We are talking about trying to figure out how to make our children be as successful as possible. And I am sure that that is your goal. And what we have been called tonight is what they're claiming that we're saying to children. We're having an adult conversation. There are not children in this room. We aren't going into the schools and calling them names. They call us Marxists and hateful and bigots and everything else under the sun. Well, let me tell you, less than 5% of the entire population of North Carolina identifies as LGBTQ. You guys all claim you want democracy. Well, you know what democracy is? It's the majority plus one. It's 50 plus 1. You know what? More than 50% of the people in this state claim that they believe in God, Almighty God, who made us male and female, God who made marriage between a man and a woman, God who said that we must protect our children. The fact that we can stand up here and we can brag about all of the wonderful graduations, but we know the statistics. 50% of children did not pass their end of grade tests. What are we celebrating? We have children coming up here telling us how horrible the mental health crisis is. Why? Most of us went to public school, and all of our All of our peers are not in mental health crises. We have to ask ourselves, what are we doing to our children? I'm going to say we are discussing things with them that they are not emotionally, intellectually, and morally able to handle. That is what is causing the anxiety. That is what is causing the depression. That is what is causing the confusion. We need our children to be able to be children, to be able to be innocent, to be able to enjoy childhood and not know all of the drama and all of the difficulties in adult life. That is what we want. We want our children to be able to read and write and to think for themselves, and we demand that the children who fear God are protected in your schools.
Woo! I'm saying, run for office, lady. I'm saying. And listen, and by the way, if you saw the video, there was a video that accompanied it. It wasn't just her voice. You can find that on my Twitter feed if you're looking for it. It's at Sen Phil Williams, SEN Phil Williams, at Sen Phil Williams on Twitter. I've got it posted there now. That's where I sent the clip to Boomer from so he could play it. But she was not a harpy. She was not up there. She wasn't demagoguing. Her voice sounds a little harsh as you're watching it, but if you watched her face, all you would have seen is passion. All you would have seen is someone who just wanted the opportunity for her kids that she is raising to believe that God loves them and made them a certain way, to be left to that and not be treated, in a way that is never designed for children to have to deal with. And I say all that because in a part of her address to the school board, she pointed out to them, people of faith are the vast majority of your constituency, and you are choosing to ignore them because of a squeaky liberal wheel. And I agree with that. I think too long the church has been silent. I think too long Christians have been told you can't do that in the public arena because that's a faith thing and you got to be quiet about that. Forget that. You show me where it says in Scripture that we are to be walked upon. Turning the other cheek does not mean you allow yourself to be walked upon. It is not, I tell you what, let me say it this way. Christians who do nothing should expect nothing in return. Does that make sense? Christians who do nothing in the public arena with their faith being exercised should expect nothing from the public arena when they look at the results. Your faith is supposed to be about the Great Commission. Absolutely. I agree with that. I think the primary mission is the advancement of the kingdom. We should indeed go ye therefore and preach unto all the world, making disciples. But I'm going to tell you right now too, if you're going to live an example, it's going to be bigger than just what you did on Sunday morning. If you're going to live an example, we've got to have people of faith who are willing to run for office, people of faith who are willing to speak out at school board meetings, people of faith who are willing to write letters to their editor, people of faith who are willing to, by God, get involved. By God, get involved. That's what I feel. I got a few more things on this when we get back from the break. But I just saw this from Jalen Milroe, and I thought, good on you, man. Appreciate you for giving credit where you believe credit is due, and that's your faith. But at the same time, how many times are we sitting quietly by and then complaining about the results when nothing was done to achieve a different result? People of faith, wake up. Phil Williams, Rightside Radio. Y'all stay tuned. We'll be right back. And we are back. Phil Williams, Right Side Radio, solid conservative and just plain right, making that common sense more like a superpower. Hey, let me go to the phones real quick. He held on during the break, and I want to honor that. Mike from Harvest. Hey, Mike, how you doing?
I'm doing well, Senator Williams. How are you, sir?
I'm good. Thanks for calling. What's on your mind?
Well, you had mentioned that churches need to be involved in this fight, and I agree as well, but I think far too many of them have forgotten why they exist. They have forgotten Christ, and they have certainly forgotten God's words. Look at the schisms that you've had in like the Lutheran, the Methodist, the Episcopalian, and even the Anglican churches.
Yeah, I'm not arguing that point. I mean, they get lost sometimes in their own pursuit of theology, and they forget that it may be more about seeking Christ first.
I understand. That's that was the concern that I have is I would love to see the churches all the Christian churches far more active, but far too many of them are on the other side of this.
Yeah,
not preaching what God's word is and whatnot. So.
Yeah, and I can't speak to it firsthand because I don't attend a Methodist church. But the most recent and very public splits in denominations have been in the Methodist denomination of late, and a lot of theirs dealt with the organized United Methodist Church taking a stance in favor of the gay agenda and that kind of things. That I appreciate the fact that there were Christians who were willing to say, we're not going to go to church here if that's the way you're going to preach because it doesn't fit it doesn't fit what Scripture says. I think that was a case, though, of at the very least, a big part of the denomination saying, nope, you're wrong, and we're not going to stand for it.
Yes, sir.
All right, hey.
Well, I thank you very much for taking my call, sir. I hope you and Boomer and your families have a wonderful day.
Yes, sir. You too. Thanks much. I got several texts on this. I mean, so apparently that was a good rant. But John from Brownsboro says, when it comes to faith, how much is given by the faithful to support our communities and how much is given by groups who are socially ostracized as outliers? The Democrats' agenda is at least honest, divide and pander. If you can keep them in the dark, all the better to control their thoughts and feelings. If you bring them to the light, the more empowered they become. What's interesting is I read a study once, something he said in that text there, John from Brownsboro reminded me. I read a study once that talked about benevolent giving. You always hear all the time about the Democrats and especially the progressive left. You need to do more. You need to pay your fair share. We need to step up and provide. And that the vast majority of charitable contributions come from conservatives. And that those who typically vote blue are a far less percentage of charitable giving. Jeremy from Huntsville says, the attributes of a Christian are taught to be love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. Why are they so scared that children would mirror these attributes? Because of their wickedness. Wow. Nailed that. John from Huntsville says, did Jalen Milroe give God the credit for the 2 interceptions he threw in the game against Texas? I think what he's saying is God helped him get through it, brother. I think that he did follow with LOL, just so you know. Yeah. Just a little dig, little Jesus dig from the War Eagle side. TL from Huntsville just said, amen, Preacher Phil. James from Harvest heard the lady talking, the clip we played, Boomer, and he says, wow, I want to vote for her for POTUS. I'm sure you're not the only one. Steve from Madison says, Steve O from Madison, that lady was quite on a rant, but we live in a republic, not a democracy. There's no place for any religion in anything publicly funded. Actually, you're wrong. There absolutely is. Anything religion, or are you saying you have to leave your faith behind? I would dare say, like I said earlier, that if someone says that their faith is at the core of their being, then when they are elected, it should be expected that their faith will be at the core of their decision making. And for anyone to say otherwise is wrong. Anyway, the parts guy from Albertville says, I believe they should leave the maps alone, talking about to our previous topic. If you do not like where you live, move. The Californians had no problem with it. Yeah, California, got the California exodus. Look at the U-Haul exodus out of that state. There's a whole bunch of former Californians voting somewhere else, that's for sure. Michael from Beverly Hills, Florida, says only one in Alabama. So, he's correcting us. So he wants us to change his to Nani, if you don't mind. So if you see Michael from Beverly Hills change that name, we're going to change Michael to Nani, which is grandparent in Italian. So there's only 5 of us in Florida. All right, listen, we're coming right back. It's time for the Grand Council with Jeff Poore and Dale Jackson. Y'all stay tuned. We will be right back. Alabama's syndicated news talk leader, Rightside Radio. Phil Williams here live in the Rightside studios. Man, we got the local, the state, the national, covering down on all the issues. And yeah, like the dude just said, solid conservative and just plain right. All right, well, welcome back to hour number 3. It's Wednesday, so that means we do this thing we call the Grand Council, where I bring in 2 of my brethren in talk radio, and we just kind of hash it out for a little while, ask each other questions. We don't even know what the questions are in advance, so we just see what our thoughts are on general topics of concern. So let me just call the roll. From FM Talk 106.5 down yonder in Mobile, host of the Jeff Poor radio show, and oh, by the way, the editor-in-chief of 1819 News, Jeff Poor, are you here?
I am present.
You are indeed. Thank you, sir. And then also from 770 AM, 92.5 FM, WVNN up in Huntsville, program director, morning show guy, and also writes for Yellowhammer News, Dale Jackson. Are you here? There you are. Stand at ease. All right. I pronounce a quorum. Boomer, hit it.
Assemble the Grand Council.
Ba-da. Ba-da-ba-da. All right, we are back, and I think thinking back over the last few weeks, I do believe Jeff Poor goes first this time. What you got, Jeff Rowe?
On a scale of from 1 to 10, how excited are you for this evening's Republican presidential debate?
Dale, you go first.
836.
Woo!
Yep, that's what I'm going with. 836. I could not be more excited. I think this is going to be the time where they really start sticking it to Trump and turning this thing around. I can't wait.
What's going to happen is Dale's
DeSantis fanboy.
Oh, yeah. This is it. This is it. This is it. This is where it finally all starts to make sense.
What I heard is Dale's going to watch it 6 beers in, and that's going to be the determining factor for him right there.
No, me and Yaffe are actually doing a live stream, which should be a complete disaster. So you should check that out a little later.
Who's asking for that? Hey, no,
nobody.
Who wants to Yaffe Dale Jackson? Somebody has to, because you're doing it.
The same people who said, "Give me a Jeff Poor radio show."
Hey,
wow! Let me jump in here real quick.
There would be no Jeff Poor radio show without Dale Jackson.
Real quick.
I'm aware.
We do know. So the bottom line is, am I excited about it? I'm okay with it. I think this is going to be more lively because there's some guys that need to try and break out. The one that I'm more stoked about right now is the DeSantis versus Newsom debate for next month. But we'll see how that goes. Anyway, that's where I'm at. I'm like lukewarm on the fact that we're having it. I know we need it. I do think somebody's going to have their moment of zing zing, and I do think they're also going to pick on Trump a lot tonight because he ain't there. All right, Dale, what do you got?
Well, here's my question. 1819 News did a great story about this. A private investigator has, I guess, come up with a book where there's some pretty graphic stuff going on. And for some reason, Tim Lockett of the Anderson Star, Tim Lockett of the Unemployment Line said that he has no problem with this. And, he's got a book full of naked animals that he'd like everyone to take a look at, which is weird. And he's then attacking the person who brought this to the attention of the government body, petitioned their government, saying that they got fired for not getting a COVID vaccine. I mean, this is the response from some of the media when people raise questions they don't like to try to destroy that person. And I think it's rather funny to watch Tim Lockett out himself as a zoophile.
Yeah, the fact that Tim has a bestiality book on his shelf needs to be addressed. But I think it's also apparent that he's worked for the Anniston Red Star for a long time.
He's a spanking.
Yeah, just okay. I'll leave that to you. But the reality is, I saw that this morning, and I saw I think it was Jeff. I think you had a Twitter back and forth with him earlier, and you actually posted pictures. Said so they have pictures like this in your book or something like that. That book, by the way, in your article this morning, I read it. That book that private investigator from down in Baldwin County, I guess, Fairhope.
Yes.
Found and then brought to the attention of the local officials. There is zero reason why that book should be in any library. It's trash. And she pointed out correctly, I think it is child pornography. And some elected officials better get some chutzpah and start taking care of this, or we're going to wind up seeing child porn charges being made against public officials who take no stand on it. Jeff, your thoughts on your own article?
Well, why do we keep talking about Tim Lockett? That's what bothers me. Look, I know I'm part of the problem here, and I take full responsibility. But Like, why is this guy around? Why is he thinking? How does he?
I can answer that for you.
He has a job. Wait, hold on, I'm not done. He has a job at Jacksonville State University as a journalism instructor.
Which alone is scary. But pray tell, Dale, what is your answer to this?
He is unencumbered by the pretending that he used to have to do, where he could pretend to be a journalist and be calling it right down the middle. He doesn't even have to pretend anymore. Now he can go as hard as he wants to the left and basically doesn't have to pretend to be a centrist anymore.
Because basically he's just teaching journalists now. He's not really one. Yeah.
And the other thing about him is this: like, he and Brian Lyman used to just sit in the press gallery and just stare at everybody. Yeah. Like, those two were just like that was like Bo and Luke Duke of just the insufferable right there.
Anyway, there are good people still in journalism, but I'm not a Tim Lockett fan.
Name them.
Well, there's this guy named Jeff Poor.
No, he's a scumbag. Who else you got?
Oh god! All right,
Alabama's most trusted journalist. Yeah, he's good.
Third question.
Not Dale Jackson.
Third question. Here we go. You ready? So I'm going to do a segment here after the Grand Council's over, but I want your thoughts on it before I get there. So next month we are apparently going to have two governors, one of whom is running for president, and one who everybody believes is trying to run for president, having a debate. I mean, I've never seen this happen before, where you basically got two governors saying, my state's better than yours. No, it's not. Nuh-uh, it's on you. And they're going to have a debate. Sean Hannity's going to moderate it, allegedly. But Governor Gavin Newsom and Governor Ron DeSantis. My question, though, is everybody believes that Newsom's waiting in the wings for Biden to die. And everybody believes that DeSantis is doing the same thing for Trump. Are we looking at a sideline event or the main event? What are we looking at in that debate? Jeff, you first.
I'm not as excited about this as you are. Like I said, these are two guys I think that aren't quite there yet. They both have their reasons, but it's a sideline event, I guess, to answer your question.
Sideline for now. I think it could be a foreshadowing, but I'll let Dale tell me what he thinks because he's anti-Trump anyway. What do you got?
Why am I anti-Trump? I'll vote for the guy. I mean, I'm not in love with the idea that he's running, but I'm not going to oppose him. I'll tell you this. I'm looking forward to this just to see how it's kind of going to play. I don't think it really means all that much except for both these guys to get on TV and start punching away on the people that they don't like. And I think there's an appetite for that, and I think Sean Hannity's going to do pretty big numbers doing that.
I think he's going to do very big numbers doing it. And I'll be honest with you, the number two guy in the polls has been, way back there, but still number two, has been DeSantis all along. Trump's the de facto nominee right now, but there's a lot of space between now and the actual voting day, or voting month, or whatever state you live in.
We should have more of these, to be honest. I mean, we should have more when people disagree, where they sit across from each other and have to defend themselves. Like Tim Lockett should stop messing around with kids and furries, and he should start talking to us. I think that would benefit everyone involved.
So what you're telling me,
stop talking about Tim Lockett,
I am prepared to moderate the Jeff Poor Tim Lockett debate. Just so you know, I think that's fair, and I will. Let's pitch it. I'll get out there on Twitter here as soon as we're on next break.
Whoa!
And I'll say I'm prepared to moderate the debate.
Why don't we have America's most trusted man in
No. Dale and I, because you're a freaking editor-in-chief, you carry this big ostentatious title like it means something in journalism. So I think we're going to say that you got to be the guy to debate it. We know you will.
I'll be more than happy
former
to do
state
it,
senator.
by the way.
All right, so Dale and I are going to moderate. I'm going to go ahead and volunteer that on social media. In the meantime,
I'm sure he'll agree
my
to
own
this.
question is that I'm a firm believer that what we're looking at in the DeSantis-Newsom debate is that this is the forecasting or the foreshadowing of what could be the two number twos becoming the two number ones. And who knows what may happen between now and Election Day. That's my thought.
You're saying it's the Larry Bird, Magic Johnson 1979 National Championship, Michigan State, Indiana State, or something, right?
I don't think I said that. No, I don't think I said that at all.
It's the foreshadow because it is Magic and Bird throughout the 80s with the Celtics and the Lakers.
It was indeed. That's very interesting. I don't think I would have drawn that comparison, but I like it. All right, we're going to take a break, fellas. Appreciate you. Lively discourse. Hang on. We'll be right back for round two with Jeff Poor from FM Talk 106.5 and 1819 News, and Dale Jackson from WVNN up there yonder in Huntsville, and oh, by the way, with Yellowhammer News, and just little old me, Phil Williams, Rightside Radio. Y'all stay tuned. We'll be right back. And we are back. Phil Williams, Rightside Radio, solid conservative and just plain right, making it cool to be a conservative. Hey, we're right now back with the Grand Council, Jeff Poore from FM Talk 106.5 and 1819 News, Dale Jackson from WVNN up in Huntsville and Yellowhammer News, and me. And round two, by the way, fellas, I want to make sure you know that I just copied you both in the tweet in which I made it known that the debate between Tim Lockett and Jeff Poore, that Dale Jackson and I will gladly moderate the public debate, and that the public deserves the opportunity to have journalism debated at that level. Just saying. It's out there. Jeff, your question. What you got?
Number one, hard pass. Number two, what should Barry Moore's next move be? So here he is, newly drawn congressional district. He's got a few options here. He can run against Jerry Carl where he lives in the first congressional district. He can run in the second congressional district even though he doesn't live there. Or is there a third option? Can he do something else?
Well, I mean, I'll jump on it. I think he could always do something else. I mean, there's always a do something else mode. I mean, who knows? There might be a position like running for a mayor of his hometown. But I think this. He's been. You and I had a conversation, Jeff, about this. In fact, I think you're the one who told me that in the last election cycle, or not election cycle, but a cycle or two ago, when Jerry Carl beat Hightower in the runoff, he didn't win Baldwin County. So that means that there's an opportunity here for a conservative in Coffee County like Barry Moore to come over to Baldwin and scarf up some serious votes and still win the Wiregrass because that's where he's from. And I think if anything, I think he's going to run. I think he has to run where he lives. I don't think he can abandon where he lives to go try and stay in office, which is what it would look like. I think he needs to run where he lives. That's my thought. Dale?
Yeah, I don't see how he makes that leap. I mean, maybe there's a reason to do it, and you just blame the courts and you say, they made me do this. They're trying to take this seat from us. I think that will play very well. Is that up for discussion, Jeff?
No, but it's been brought up, and there's been some political consultants that have talked about it, but I don't think he's going to run in the second congressional district. You know, like, it just misses his house by the line does by, I don't know, like 15 miles or something. So they drew him out by the skin of his teeth.
Yeah, they did. The whole thing just bugs the crap out of me. I'll be honest. I mean, I look at it and think, if you look at that whole redrawing of the district lines, I said it earlier, the fact that they turned in performance evaluations in it, where they said, and guess what? The black candidate wins 16 out of 17 times. Well, that clearly means they weren't trying to provide an opportunity. They were merely trying to provide a win, period. That's what they wanted, was a win.
Well, they also protected Terry Sewell.
And they did.
They really, really protected her. And I'll ask you this kind of second part of the question here. What is the city of Selma? Who does it have more in common with? Birmingham or Montgomery?
Selma?
Selma.
I would say Montgomery. That's my thought, but I'm not from Selma. I've never lived on the ground there, so to speak. I mean, what were you thinking?
Well, because it's in the Montgomery media market. It's like 50 miles from downtown Montgomery. It is very little to do with Birmingham, but they drew Selma as so much of its communities of interest stuff. They put it in a congressional district with Birmingham, not Montgomery.
Yeah, I mean, when people think of the word Selma, they think of things like the Selma to Montgomery March. They don't think about the Selma to Birmingham March. I mean, it doesn't ring together, so to speak. Dale, chime in.
Well, I think you guys are right, and I think we are learning, obviously, more and more, not that none of us needed this, but it tells the audience and everyone else that this was done to provide a Democrat opportunity. Not a black opportunity, a Democrat opportunity. Yeah. I mean, that's what this is really about.
Next question, Dale, what do you got?
All right, so I think we're hearing a unified front from our two United States senators, Katie Britt and Tommy Tuberville. Britt was standing behind Lindsey Graham today when he said, look, we'll shut the government down if you don't fix the border. And then Mitch McConnell comes up and says, if you shut the government down, you're opening the border. So we're I don't know how it would be any different if we actually did that, but let's just say that that's the argument. Are you surprised to see Katie Britt standing there metaphorically, or I guess symbolically, with Tommy Tuberville and actually with Lindsey Graham? Well, Mitch McConnell is out there making the counter argument.
Well, first of all, I'm not surprised by Mitch McConnell. The guy he's the uniparty aging,
I don't use
decrepit
the uniparty
individual.
thing, man.
I think he is. I mean, I think he's all about just maintaining status quo. Well, I never promised you a Republican wave in the Senate. I mean, come on, how lame a leadership is that? So please just retire. Go see your grandkids. Do something different. Leave us alone. But as for Katie Britt, I'm actually not surprised. I mean, back during the campaign, all I could do was sort of hope she was going to wind up being someone who stood for conservative principles and took hard stands. And so far, she really is. So I'm not surprised based upon other things I've seen her do. Jeff?
Why? How does Mitch McConnell hold on to his power at this point? I mean, it used to be, guys, when there was weakness in the Senate, and you can look at like Bill Frist, and you go through the last pre-McConnell majority of Republican caucus leaders, it was always this feeding frenzy. All it took was like an election loss or something like that. And this guy seems pretty untouchable to me. It's remarkable, but no, I do. I'm not surprised to see Katie Britt. She's doing what she's got to do. Will this last, though? I guess is the question. Is Katie Britt in it for the long haul? Will she stay, or will she eventually evolve into like a Richard Shelby type figure in the U.S. Senate?
Yeah. All right. So I right now I think she's not a surprise. I think it's what we got, and I think she's proven herself to be somebody right now who will take the stand. So I agree. I hope it stays. All right. Last question. Very little time. James Comer just came out and said that not only have they found cash wire transactions to Hunter Biden from China, but that Hunter Biden listed Joe Biden's home address as the location where they were to be sent. Is Biden going to have to drop out? Is Biden finally out? Are they going to get Biden? Quick answers. Jeff.
No, and we keep hearing this, and nothing ever comes of these things. I'm still looking for what happened on Benghazi, right? So don't
Dale.
get gross up, guys.
Is this where they get him? No, I don't think so. I think they're just doing to him what they did to Trump, death by 1,000 cuts. That's what we're getting here, and we will continue seeing that throughout this entire campaign.
It's 1,000 cuts, but these actually bleed, whereas Trump never really bled. He just had to suffer through it.
Day.
He did on Election Day, but I think that's a whole different story too. All right, fellers, appreciate you. Great run. That's Jeff Poor from the Jeff Poor Show, FM Talk 106.5 down in Mobile and 1819 News, and Dale Jackson, the Dale Jackson Show, WVNN up in Huntsville, and writing for Yellowhammer News, we call it the Grand Council. Y'all stay tuned. We'll be right back. And we are back. Phil Williams, Rightside Radio, solid, conservative, and just plain right. Covering down on some major ground across the northern half of the most beautiful state in the nation. This one, Alabama. And I mean to say, this show, wow. Like we send our signal way down south of Birmingham and up north of Huntsville and Tuscaloosa, back to Gadsden, parts of Georgia, Tennessee, and Mississippi, all thrown in just for good measure. By the way, I will tell you who else covers some major ground, and that's our friends at Southern Immediate Care. Southern Immediate Care, a chain of clinics that is open 7 days a week in locations all over North Alabama. Southern Immediate Care, they're in places like Gadsden, Attala, Anniston, 5 locations around the Birmingham area, the 2 newest ones being in Chelsea and Hoover. Southern Immediate Care, 7 days a week. Y'all, you wake up on a Saturday morning and the kids have got a fever. What do? Take them to Southern Immediate Care because you don't have to wait till Monday with them. And they'll see all ages, pediatric to geriatric. And I will tell you for a fact, and it's been that way for a while, this is who I use. And I know the guy that owns the whole chain. Southern Immediate Care, he's a Rightside ruffian, by the way. Southern Immediate Care is where I go every time I've been in the door. Clean, friendly, professional, and you can get your shots there. You can get your X-rays right there on the spot. So I'm just going to tell you, if you need some medical attention that is not like urgent, like ER kind of stuff, then Southern Immediate Care, look them up online, find the location nearest to you, and when you go, do me a favor. Tell them you heard about it on Rightside Radio, and you heard that Phil actually uses it. All right. Hey, listen, let me do I do that? I tell you what, I'm going to do some text messages first. I got a question, though. And Boomer, you're welcome to chime in on this, but I got a question. So I'm about to kind of kick off this third dipper here for a little bit. It's like a mini dipper almost at this point. But my question is, Gavin Newsom debating Ron DeSantis, is that a sideline event or is that really the main event? What are we seeing there? I want your thoughts on this. Text them in 833-68-RIGHT. That's 833-687-4448. You tell me, what do you think? I mean, you heard the Grand Council a minute ago. We ain't so grand. We got opinions, but dang, you guys got opinions, and a lot of times y'all are right. So tell me what you think. Is the DeSantis versus Newsom event a sideline event, or is that really just the main event with the number two guys thinking they're going to be the number one guys? Text messages. Brian from Huntsville says, we all age. Mitch McConnell, though, is now Glitch McConnell. We got brand new in the text line, Mark from Laredo, Tennessee. Says the fact they're attacking Trump so much tells me that he's the man for the job. The left is worried he's going to cancel out the radical woke agenda. And by the way, Phil has an A++ so far today. Mark from Laredo, Tennessee. I love how the grading system has taken hold. Scott from Huntsville, just like you to defend Trump supporting the socialists, you really don't get it. What is he talking about? Trump defending the socialists. I don't know what he's talking about. Thanks, Scott. Appreciate you. Tony from Tony, that's Tony from Tony, Alabama, says religion and tradition is going to carry more souls to hell than anything the devil created. Okay. And he also chimes in. I see what he's saying here. He's talking about actual religion and tradition as opposed to his earlier tweet, which I didn't read, says it's not about a religion, it's about a relationship with Jesus. There you go. I agree. Laura from Arab, great show. Please send or repeat a link to the lady speaking to the school board. Okay, here's where the link is. If you're on Twitter, go to my Twitter feed, @Sin, that's S-E-N, @Sin Phil Williams, and it's posted there. If not, then I would just say Google the lady from North Carolina who spoke to the school board, and I guarantee you'll find it. Boomer, do we have any way? I tell you what, can you post that to the right side? Well, it's already on our Instagram. No, it's not on our Instagram. Can you take that link I sent you and post it on our Instagram while we're on the air? All right, he's going to try. It's weird because it comes off of Twitter. Yeah, it's not a link. It's a Twitter. Anyway, we'll see what we can do. Okay, so here's the thing. Sideline event or main event? If you haven't heard, the story broke in the last couple of days that Sean Hannity, who, by the way, people don't remember this, but Sean Hannity actually he got his start in radio in the exact same time slot, in the exact same time channel that we got the start on for this show in the Huntsville WVNN 2 to 5 category. So I'll just take half his paycheck. That's all I want. Sean Hannity to moderate a groundbreaking debate between Governors Newsom and DeSantis. Story broke 2 days ago on Fox. So Fox is going to air this thing. When's the last time you saw two sitting governors saying, my state's better than yours? No, it's not. My state's better than yours. Okay, let's debate. And they're going to do it. I mean, this is unique. Now, one of them is running for president. And the other one, everybody believes, is running for president. And Newsom's being polite. Oh, I don't have any intentions. I think Joe Biden's doing a wonderful job. But he is certainly making himself known. In fact, article here from NBC. NBC News has a piece that came out yesterday. Oh, actually came out this morning. Biden advisors bristle at Governor Gavin Newsom's plan to debate DeSantis. They don't like it. Why? Because Biden won't. First of all, Biden won't debate anybody. He won't get out there and debate. In fact, they've already said, the DNC has already said they won't even allow primary debates among candidates. They're not doing it. Why? Because he's freaking fragile. That's why. Because they're concerned that he might get up there and just, stumble and, say God knows what. Talk about corn pop and, claiming that his son died in Iraq and came home in a flag-draped coffin and then trip over something on the stage. It could be a total debacle. They won't let him debate. So the idea that a guy who many people believe really wants the seat and is sort of waiting for Biden to die, Governor Gavin Newsom is out there saying he'll debate. Well, he's not even the vice presidential candidate. I mean, technically, it should be Kamala Harris doing the debate, right? No, it's going to be Gavin Newsom. So it's cagey, in my opinion. So two things. One, it's cagey for Newsom because he gets to show Democrats who would dare to tune into Fox. He gets to show Democrats, here's who I am, and I'll go head to head, and I don't lose my train of thought when I'm on stage, and I can speak without a teleprompter, and I'm not going to trip and fall down. I may be liberal as all get out, and my state's in the tank, but nonetheless, I can hold my own in a debate. That's what he's going to try and do. And I have all my hair. That's what he's going to do. Okay. What about Ron DeSantis? I think it's cagey. It's a pretty snappy decision too for DeSantis. I mean, right now DeSantis has got to break out of the pack. If DeSantis is going to be the guy, he's got to break away, and he has plateaued in a big way. The DeSantis campaign has probably been losing ground, technically, depending on which poll you look at, over the last few weeks. He's still in number 2, but more of his points have been given away to Trump and a couple to some of the other Rands. You're looking at Ramaswamy is nipping at his heels, Nikki Haley, Tim Scott. Believe it or not, Chris Christie allegedly has 8%, and DeSantis in some polls only has like 13%. Whereas Trump's leading him by like 45 points. So if DeSantis is going to do something, this could be it. He gets to get up there and just, smack the most liberal. People who are conservative can't stand Gavin Newsom. I mean, the guy comes across slicker than a talk show host with a smile that looks like he's up to something at every turn, saying the most liberal things, condescending when he does. He puts mask mandates on his people, and he gets caught out eating at the fanciest restaurants in the state without a mask on. I mean, the guy's a hypocrite to the nth degree. And his state is sending people to Florida. DeSantis is a fool if he doesn't debate him, because this is the debate that DeSantis won't get against Biden. This is the debate that he can't even get against Trump right now. So I think this is a cagey deal. I got several of you all chiming in. Scott from Athens says, if Biden does run again, can he drop Kamala for Newsom? Sure he could. They can, but they've already said he's not going to. They recognize what that looks like to their ticket. So they're not, I mean, who knows? I mean, now, hey, Scott, so here's the deal. Wait for it. Wait for the moment that Kamala comes in and says, I've decided that I want to spend more time with my kids and time with my family and work on my memoirs. And when she does and says she's not going to run again, oh my gosh, look at that. Oh my goodness, we have to find a new VP candidate. And then they go and they get Gavin Newsom. and then Newsom helps them win California, and then Biden doesn't make it past the election or barely makes it past the election, and next thing you know, Gavin Newsom's the man. Brian from Huntsville says Newsom-DeSantis debate, easy win. It's called the San Fran Feces versus Los Angeles. Oh, wow. Oh, yeah, there you go. Gary from Decatur says, I support Trump, but it's time to take care of his family and stop the never-ending onslaught by the media and perhaps take an advisory position in the Republican Party or a future Republican administration. I will say this. I think that with all the legal action against him, Trump almost has to stay in the fight, truthfully, just to preserve his own hairline. But here's the other piece of this. Yes, I agree with you. Trump could have been the kingmaker. He could have said, "Look, I'm stepping out. I'm not going to run again. I hereby endorse," name one, and he would have been the kingmaker. He would have been the guy that everybody flocked to see to get this endorsement. But he's in it, and right now he's winning. So there you go. Mark from Loretto, Tennessee again says gruesome versus DeSanctimonious is a toddler wrestling match. Just another distraction from Biden not debating. Okay. Teresa from Town Creek again. She says Ron DeSantis debating Governor Gavin Newsom is like Elmer Fudd debating SpongeBob. Wow. Not coming across like anybody loves DeSantis or Newsom. JT from Lacey Springs sent me a clip. I can't open the clip while I'm on the air because it won't play. He says DeSantis news on debate will be like a swarm of bees, lots of stings. Okay. Missy from Falkville. It is the desired main event by whoever's running this country. Okay. So she's saying the establishment wants these too. James from Harvest says, personally, I think the debate's a bunch of wishful thinking, but it's giving Dems an opportunity to show somebody other than bumbleheaded Biden. I agree with you. I think the reason why it's happening is Newsom's being told, get out there, show the world that we're not a bunch of, octogenarians who can't think straight. And at the same time, DeSantis, he can't challenge a guy and say, I'm a brave man, I'll run the country and not go follow up on the debate. But it also gives him a chance to hopefully break out of the pack. That's what he's thinking. All right, we're going to take a break right now. We'll come right back and wrap this up. You guys have some thoughts on it? I know you do. Is the DeSantis versus Newsom debate standing alone by itself? Is it a side event? Or is that really the main event as these two guys are in waiting? Phil Williams, Rightside Radio. Y'all stay tuned. We'll be right back. We are back. Phil Williams, Rightside Radio. Solid conservative, just plain right. Hey, by the way, I got to tell you guys, ZLA Solutions, that's ZLA Solutions. They've been with us since the very beginning. ZLA Solutions is like epic good at what they do. And what they do is help you make your business better. So if you want to do what, like they can help you with sorting and containment, they can help you with quality control, they can help you with logistics, they can help you with warehousing, all those kinds of things. They bring all these business solutions to you. But if you need people, that's the thing that's their bread and butter. I mean, they've been helping people with staffing issues that's what they started out on. So ZLA Solutions, they can do the recruiting, the background checks, the drug testing if necessary. They can find you a few people you need just for hard-to-find skilled positions, or they can find you a whole shift of people. They're doing it right now in major manufacturing, hospitals, their food service. They've got the ability to find you blue collar, white collar, or no collar. It don't matter to them. I'm just telling you, if you need help with your business, they would love to talk to you about it. Their website is zlausa.com. That's www.zlausa.com, ZLA Solutions. And just check them out and just tell them you heard about it on Right Side Radio. I would appreciate that. I'm back on this topic. By the way, Wes from Huntsville says, no reason to debate Newsom. Don't give him a chance to look good. His policies and rioting and reparations and drug-filled empty cities speak for themselves. This is the Dems' attempt to try and get him out there publicly. He and every Dem make Britney Spears Dancing with Knives look sane. Wow. Okay. Don't beat around the bush, Wes. Give it to us straight.
I like it. I think it's spot on what he just said. But I would kind of like to see DeSantis debate him, just because I think DeSantis will mush him into the mud.
Okay, so.
I mean, just for fun, I think so. But I completely agree with what he's saying. Like, Newsom's already running California into the ground and going to be into the sea soon. So, I mean, come on. There's no reason to debate him other than I would just like to see him get beat even harder.
I think okay. So. I agree. And you know what's interesting to me though? I like the fact that we're being told that Biden and Harris's people are irritated that he's doing it. I like that.
I love that.
It's a total distraction for them. It puts them on their heels. It's like, dadgummit. I got an article
I
right
don't
here.
even want to debate, and now he's going to do it.
We thought we weren't doing the debate thing. What's he doing? Well, Boomer's points matches several of y'all apparently, and mine. I mean, I agree. I want to see the debate. I do. I think this is the one where we finally get to see DeSantis have enough time with the microphone to stand out. I think it's also a chance for us to see him up against a liberal who will not be someone of the same side, but trying to be a little different. So, hey, vote for me. But a true liberal with, let's compare our state to state policies there, bucko.
That would be fun.
How's that homeless thing going for you out there? Yeah. How's that crime doing for you out there?
Wait, don't you have poop patrol out there?
How's that poop patrol going for you out there? Story on NBC News. Biden advisors are bristling at Gavin Newsom's plans to debate DeSantis. They're saying that it caused consternation within Biden's operation and among Vice President Harris's allies. Some Biden advisors have complained privately that a planned debate, which Fox News host Sean Hannity will moderate, could make voters think that Newsom is running a shadow 2024 campaign. Harris allies take particular umbrage at what they see as Newsom's attempt to position himself for the 2028 Democratic presidential primary at her expense. Because, yes, she's the heir apparent. Don't you know? I served my time under Biden. It's my turn next. Yeah. Well, I think the Democrats are like, we can't let that happen. Can you imagine?
That would be horrible.
4 years of her cackling. 4 years of her cackling.
No, please.
Oh, Lord. So I'll be honest with you. So just Phil talking, I'm looking forward to it. It's a feud that's been going on. They've been sniping at each other on social media. They both definitely run the two what we call like the sunshine states, where the weather's always perfect and everything is unicorns and rainbows, except that it's not. It's unicorn droppings and broken rainbows out in California, in my opinion. And by the way, there are good people in California. There's some wonderful conservative people, but they're being run into the ground by a governor like that. John from Huntsville sent in the grades. John from Huntsville says, let's see what he says. Phil, your official final grade for today is an A+. Boomer's official grade for the day is an A++. And I have to give myself a B- because I made an error when I said there was a 3 pick'em games on TV tomorrow. I meant to say Friday. Today's winner is Boomer. Congratulations and also congratulations to Little Dude for his grand slam. Nice.
Love that.
Nice.
Love that.
I'll go second fiddle to Little Dude.
Little dude.
Little Dude hit the grand slam.
That's right.
All right. Amazing show. Great day. We're back here tomorrow at 2:00. You guys have a great night. We'll see you then.